Welcome to this edition of Atlanta Live. I'm Ann White, and today we're going to be visiting with a very special guest who has a program that's going to inspire you. She is an actress, an author, a speaker, a nutritionist, and a pastor. And her courageous faith story is going to tell you a lot today, where she dealt with some difficult journeys in her life and how she found healing and hope to move past those. You're going to learn a lot. We're both going to be inspired, and we're both going to be challenged to have a more courageous faith as a result. Please join me in welcoming Laura Harris Smith. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm tired listening to all those things you said that I did.
Well, you know what you do, and don't we do that? We find ourselves taking on all these different roles, especially when we're in ministry.
And women.
And yeah, we do. And you're also a mother and a wife of 30 years, and I can relate to that. I've been married. We'll celebrate our 30th this year as well. And I also have grandchildren, not quite as many as you. You have 8, so I'm a little bit jealous, but I will talk to my kids about that. They'll see if they'll
that
keep
happens
working
when
on
you
it.
have 6 kids.
Yeah, that's
true. They just
true. I only have 2.
exponentially keep coming, you know, and coming and coming and coming.
And that's not a bad thing. Are they all close by?
All but one. I have a son in Los Angeles who's in the film industry. Yes, everyone else is really close by.
Good.
They're all at our church serving together. It's a real blessing.
It is a blessing.
Is.
It really is. It absolutely is. And you and your husband serve at Eastgate. Tell me the name of your church again.
Eastgate Creative Christian Fellowship.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about your church and how that all came about.
Well, actually, I have always been involved in ministry in some way or another, usually as supporting other people, supporting the pastor. I used to call it the best supporting actress role. You know, you come up under people and you help do that. And we had a church that was not our church, but unfortunately the leader took a long, hard moral fall, and the church dissolved. And so we inherited, my husband and I had both been ordained there, and we inherited just a group of people that really needed to learn to love church again, just to be family again. So that's really how we started, and yet amazing things happened. Right at that time, I was transitioning out of Shop at Home TV. I was a host there.
Right.
And that was closing, and the Lord was opening the door for us to start the church. And we put the name Creative in the title because we had, oh my goodness, we had so many creative people that were in Nashville.
Right.
I mean, there's somebody
Right
here
in the
with
heart
stars
of
in
it.
their eyes every 10 minutes. And creative people are a different breed. They feel things 10 times deeper than everyone else. They are subject to or often come into the arts because of woundings or that type thing. And so we really created this ministry for people in the city who were in that category, and yet it just grew so far beyond that. So it has been, I'm telling you, it's been the sweetest 10 years of our life, 11 years now of our lives.
Wow, wow. Now you're also an author, and we'll get a little bit more into your book here in just a little bit, but I really want to hear more about this, and I really think our audience can learn so much from this, because we're all into health and nutrition these days, but sometimes we don't know where to go. And I like what your title says. It's the 30-day faith detox. Okay, so you're not only talking about detoxing our bodies, but you're also talking about detoxing our spiritual life, because they go hand in hand, and I loved that you said that.
Well, if you look back to the beginning, when God created man, which first of all, where did he put us? In the middle of a garden. But second of all, it says in Scripture, let us make man in our image. So you've got the Trinity working already there.
Right.
And we're made in that same model with 3 parts. And just like you can't segregate the Trinity, well, you can, they have individual functions, you know, but you cannot segregate body, mind, or spirit, not if you want to be whole.
Right.
And so I do. It's actually a book on faith, but I approach each of the 30, what I call faith toxins. There's 30 devotionals. And I approach each one of those with a 3-pronged approach, body, mind, and spirit.
Right.
Because you're not going to be whole if you just treat 1/3 of yourself. Let's say you go on a diet program. Or let's say that you pray, you know, you consult your pastor when something happens. And maybe you go see a counselor also, and you deal with your emotions and all that, but you mistreat your body, and you don't eat right. Stress has ravaged your health.
We so often do when
That's
we're
not
busy.
wholeness.
Busy women just go, and men too. You know, we get in that lifestyle of let's pick
I live
something
in
up
5th
quick.
year. Yeah.
Wow.
But that's what led to my demise. I have all of these things that I enjoy doing, and many of them from home. You know, you can write from home. And I would set very few boundaries. And so I was getting like 4 to 5 hours sleep a night. And there are some people, I wore it like a badge, almost like, well, you know, I've heard some people do that. I think Albert Einstein did it or whatever. And it just really what began to happen was I went through several doctor visits where I began to notice my blood work was kind of strange. My cholesterol was going up, my thyroid was slowing down. After years of having perfectly healthy blood sugar levels, I was now pre-diabetic. At 115 pounds, I was pre-diabetic, you know. And started kind of putting two and two together, went in for one more test, and they decided to test me for one test I didn't even ask for, but it was to check the adrenaline and cortisol levels in my body. Adrenaline being what fuels your body and gives you energy. And oh my goodness, adrenaline is what allows you to put two people on your back and run out of a burning building. You know, you need it for energy. And then your cortisol, which is what calms you down when there's stress. And the tests came back and showed I had hardly any in my body. And I just had such a strong constitution. I was just plowing through and working anyway. And I've discovered that stage 4 of this, what they call adrenal burnout or adrenal fatigue, is when all your organs shut down. And I was in stage 3.
Wow.
So those blood tests were actually showing that my organs were, if you don't go to sleep, your organs will go to sleep for you.
Wow.
So I had to make changes or die.
So the doctor just told you that. He just told you, if you don't make changes in your lifestyle, in your diet.
Sleep health. You know, it used to all be about diet and exercise. And now it really is diet and exercise and sleep. So I went on total bed rest. The church just, they cooked for us. They rallied around us. And I learned to use food as medicine. Now, I'm a farmer's daughter and a farmer's granddaughter, so I've always eaten my vegetables. But it's so far beyond that. Amazingly, there are phytonutrients that God has put in our foods. I don't know what I used to think, even as a farmer's daughter, that the foods were the color that they are because of the mood God was in the moment He made them or whatever. But it actually is that there are certain phytochemicals and nutrients in each food that gives it its color, and those colors they're like clues to us as to which organ they help.
Wow.
So that whole experience, I knew it was going to go into somehow into another book. And I just felt like I owed it to my readers to really educate myself. So I went back to college at age 49 and became a nutritionist.
And you became a nutrition as a result of this. And I mean, isn't God funny how He takes us through some of those things to curve our journey? You know, we think we're trucking down this one path and we think we've got it all figured out. We're in control.
Everything.
And He says, I've got this. You don't have this.
Well,
I'm taking you elsewhere.
Jehovah Sneaky. That's what I call him sometimes.
My assistant often says, she says, God has a great sense of humor, but sometimes I don't think it's very funny. And I absolutely agree with her, because there's times where you're just going, I'm not laughing, God. You know, you're sitting here, you know that I've just completely gone my way and you wanted me to go the other way. But
then ministry is born out of that.
Yeah,
you have to go through things sometimes to just deeply and innately feel them and experience them, and that's where you can help other people.
Yeah, because now you understand. You understand where other people are struggling. And I think sometimes we get ministry so separate from the rest of our health. You know, I just finished a book on courage, but in that courage book, I talk about the overall health, and you do the same. So we really are on the same page to where our physical, mental, spiritual, relational, all of that really makes up our wholeness, our foundation. And if one of those things is off skew, which obviously it was for you, your physical health, your nutrition and so forth was
why does it matter?
Out of whack.
Your spirit can be strong. How many people have you seen in ministry who are bulldozing their way to, I say success, but I mean that they're very much of help to other people. They are, doing the stuff, living the life, really serving the Lord, and then they die prematurely. And I just somehow think if we can stop putting ammunition in the enemy's gun and saying, oh, well, God's got my back. I'm in ministry. Or I'm living a good life. I'm a good Christian, whether you're in ministry or not. If we can stop looking at it like that and realize that God, 1 Corinthians 3:16 says, do you not know that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit? I talk to my kids that way when they've forgotten things like, do you not remember that I told you to clean your room or whatever it is? And God's asking that in a way that He knows it's going to be easy to forget. So yes, I actually had my publisher tell me, your branding has just become body, mind, and spirit. Everything you write brings the body into it. And so it really, the Lord just found me with that. I did not set out to do that in all of my books, but most of them do contain that.
And that's what's so great, though, when it's His plan and it's not our plan.
Yeah.
It is so much better. But I also hear you saying, in that, I think in ministry, we all strive. We think, okay, we can do more, so we need to do more. We've got to do more. If you're in ministry, you need to be serving. You need to be doing this. And often, even our church leaders are saying, if you're not here all the time, you're not involved in something.
Right.
But there's got to be that balance. And I think that's where many of us kind of get off kilter. We get overzealous.
Yeah.
And then our balance kind of gets out. And, Jesus didn't run around and heal everybody. He doesn't need us, but He wants us. So there's that balance in serving, for sure. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about the book, because tell me about the Faith Detox. Why did you name it the 30-day Faith Detox?
We're not even Christian if we don't have faith, because it took faith to become a Christian. So one of the things that we had begun to notice as pastors is faith is just under siege right now. It's why the enemy comes after your faith, because he knows that's what makes you Christian. So let's say that you pray over someone for them to be healed, and they're not healed. Then next week when you get a call, or next month or next year when you get a call, somebody's in the hospital, they really need prayer. Can you come pray over them? And you just, in the back of your mind, you're like, it didn't work last time. It's probably not going to work this time. And that can be applied to so many different areas of our lives. So I came up with these 30 universal things. I call them faith toxins, and created a devotional for each one. Now, let me just tell you that we played around with, should it be 40 days? Should it be 21 days? What should it be?
Sure.
But I felt like if a person could invest 1 month in themselves, there would really be lasting change. So as pastors, we began to notice that when somebody comes to the altar for prayer, it always falls into one of 5 categories, okay? It's either their finances, their relationships, their health, their social influences, all the things going on around them, world catastrophic events, whatever. And then also your purpose and identity, you, who am I?
Yeah.
And so I broke the 30 days down into those 5 categories, and we spend 6 days digging deeply into every relationship that you have. 6 days on your finances. Why can't I not seem to get ahead? Promotion, all that. And then what we do is you wake up every day. Let's say one day we're talking about relationships like your marriage, or a marriage that's failed, or someone close to you whose marriage has failed. What we'll do is we wake up that day and we start with your spirit. And we start with a great smoothie, but
yeah, there we go.
Other than that, but we then turn our attention to the scriptures. What happened? What does God say about that thing that you walk through? We tether you back to the Word and what He's saying that your perspective should be or should have been on it. And then we turn our attention to your emotions and any residues that were left there: guilt, anger, grief, and then to your body. And we'll do a correlating body detox, which that week when we're studying the relationships would be the heart. We detox the cardiovascular system. So I'm really happy to say that by the end of the 30 days, you have detoxed all 15 major body systems for a total body detox.
Right, and that 30 days is key, because I know statistics tell us that if you can do something for 30 days, you can change those habits, because it's all about just cleansing your body, but getting into a different habit of putting in healthy practices. And so what a perfect way to start that. Now, you also have some recipes in here as well. So, I mean, the book is wonderfully written.
And let me
because
just, I got the kitchen too, so.
Do you really?
Oh,
so you're
yeah.
not a cook. So how did that all, but becoming a nutritionist, you had
I
to
know,
incorporate
but
that.
my whole message now is if I can do this, can you imagine God giving somebody who hates the kitchen 6 children? Like, I had to prepare 24 plates of food a day.
That's just like him.
So, but honestly, my message now is, think they're simple.
Yeah.
They're templates. You get to choose which vegetables you drop into each of the templates.
Okay.
The smoothies are more solid, set in place recipes, but you eat or drink 4 or 5 times a day. You won't go hungry. You have my word, nothing tastes like grass. There is meat. There's plenty of protein, plenty of water and liquids in it, and yet I think what has surprised me the most is that we are, although it's not a weight loss book, we're having people who are telling us they're losing lots of weight. I have this one gentleman who has lost 25 pounds. He's only on day, I think he's on day 24.
Wow.
So my concern was in the very beginning, as I hear these people who are losing over 20 pounds, I'm contacting them personally on Facebook, tracking them down and saying, are you eating all of your protein? Are you drinking all of your water? Because we don't want water loss and we don't want muscle loss.
Right.
And they're telling me that they are. And the only thing that I would love to just take credit for all of this, but I'm telling you, I am convinced that when you deal with your spirit and you deal with your mind along with your body, you are going to now have a different approach toward food. You're not want to reach for comfort food or eat when you're stressed. So you have to resolve those internal issues. And I'm happy to say, even though the book's only been out for about 45 days, we've had about 2 weeks worth of testimonies from people who've completed it. I hear from people a lot during, but now we're about 2 weeks on the other side of many people who've finished the book. And they're saying the weight's staying off. So I know that what's happening is that they are really tapping into God's design. We're calling it a reset button for your body, mind, and spirit.
It really is.
That's our goal.
It really is. And you also, when we reduce those levels of stress, which you're doing by the foods that you eat, by the scripture that you take in nourishment, reducing that stress changes how our bodies process that food and everything. So it is holistic. We really need to look at it that way. And we can't be everything God wants us to be spiritually unless we take care of the rest of everything He gave us.
It is so true. It is so true. And I've had people who ask me, well, for example, in many of the major retailers and online, it's finding its way into secular sources. Like
it should.
Someone called me and said it's in the cookbook section at this store, and
oh, great!
It's in the smoothies and detox section at this store. And I'm thinking, this is a book on faith, so it's like a Jehovah Sneaky again.
Yeah,
people are going to buy a book about juice and for juices, and they're getting Jesus. But honestly, if you look at how sin entered the world, it was through appetite, as I say when Eve bake that apple pie for Adam,
Right.
Or what did Esau sell his birthright for? A pot of stew.
Stew.
What did the Israelites complain about in the desert? What did Jesus say?
They're tired of manna.
Exactly, but then they asked for the quail. It got him in big trouble.
Right.
And the same, with Jesus in the desert, Satan tempted him with, turn these stones into bread. There's something about the appetite that can work either against us, or you think about in the absence of food, fasting, how powerful that is for our spirit. So there is a food-faith link.
Yeah,
There's definitely a food-faith link.
There absolutely is. There absolutely is. Well, tell us more about how people can find out more about you, more about the church. If they're in the Nashville area, they can come and visit the church and be encouraged and inspired and have a great time. They can be creative and come to church and join the creative arts team there. And then they can also pick up this book, and you have other books that you've written.
I do.
So you want to tell anything about, because they can get all of your books on faith, on the spirit life, and tell us a little bit more about what you have to offer on your website.
Well, I would love to just tell you directly. You can visit my website at lauraharrissmith.com. And one of the things I'm really excited about in the book, on the last page, there's a hidden link about halfway down for just the book owners, and it will take you to a private page on my website that is going to include all kinds of help for you. There's a video for every day. I felt like you needed a little more than just paper and ink for a life transformation. So you'll get encouraging emails from me there. Sign up at lauraharrissmith.com. If you are in the Nashville area, I would love to have you come see me and visit us at Eastgate Creative Christian Fellowship. We do family very, very well there. So I'd love for you to come. One of my main goals in ministry is I love to write and I love to reach people, but I want you in here where I can take care of you. So if you are in the Nashville area, please come visit us.
Laura, I really appreciate you taking time out of your schedule, your busy
Thank
schedule,
you.
with all your kids, your 6 children, your 8 grandchildren, a healthy marriage, and a great ministry.
God is
and
good, isn't
author. You've got so much going on, but other people can do the same thing. Other people with busy lives can carve it down.
And I sleep 8 hours a night now.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. And
you.
thank you for being here with us today. And I hope you'll join us again for another special edition of Atlanta Live.